You're listening to AI News of the Week, brought to you by the AI Tips and Tools YouTube channel. Subscribe for weekly insights, trends, and updates from the world of artificial intelligence.
So, will artificial intelligence take our jobs? I mean, it's the question, isn't it? Everyone's asking it. You see it everywhere.
It really is. And it's definitely not a simple yes or no answer, is it?
No, not at all.
Because the immediate stuff, like what's happening right now, it kind of feels like a pretty strong yes.
Yeah.
Jobs are being affected.
Right, and that's why the fear feels so real for people. You can point to actual examples.
Exactly. But then, if you zoom out a bit, look at the history, the bigger picture, the potential, well, the long answer gets way more complicated.
Maybe even surprisingly a no, or at least not quite like that.
Precisely. So that's what we're trying to do in this deep dive. We've dug through a whole pile of sources.
Yeah, articles, interviews, company statements, you name it.
And the goal is really to pull out the key bits, cut through the noise and help you understand the whole picture from what's happening today to the much bigger questions down the road.
Okay, so let's start with that immediate reality. Because you really can't ignore it. The fear people feel, it's grounded in what's actually happening. We are seeing jobs being displaced by AI right now.
Yeah, that's undeniable based on what we've looked at.
Yeah.
Big companies are making cuts, and they're pointing to AI as, part of the reason.
Right. Like Microsoft, wasn't it? Laying off over 6,000 people. That's like 3% of their workforce. And they were pretty open about focusing more on AI.
Mm-hmm. And IBM, too. They cut, 8,000 jobs? Their CEO specifically mentioned investing in AI to automate things, especially in HR.
And it's not just the giants, is it? We saw stuff about Walmart, CrowdStrike, Meta.
Duolingo as well.
Mm-hmm.
All mentioning AI integration playing a role in layoff decisions.
Or sometimes in places you might not expect, like those medical receptionists in Australia.
Yeah, that was striking. Just replaced by an AI system for calls and emails. Pretty abrupt layoffs, too, from what the source said.
Wow. And then there was that statistic about programming jobs. This one really jumped out at me.
Oh, yeah. Over 27% of U.S. programming jobs gone in just the last 2 years.
Right. And the sources are saying a key reason is AI tools that can write code, test it, debug it.
Which is a huge chunk of the work.
Exactly. And the video game industry, too, mass layoffs there. Over 14,600 just in 2024 so far.
AI integration is definitely part of that conversation, alongside other things like development costs going up.
So the immediate picture is, it's concerning. And some experts are pretty blunt about it.
Yeah, like Dario Amodei, the CEO of Anthropic, his warning was pretty stark.
He said AI could take out, up to half of entry-level white-collar jobs?
Yeah, in finance, law, healthcare, consulting, within 5 years. 5 years. And push unemployment up to maybe 10, even 20%.
That's huge.
And the thing he stressed, which I thought was important, was that this isn't theoretical. He was like, this is coming. We need to stop sugarcoating it.
Mm-hmm. Which ties into how companies are changing strategy, right? Like Duolingo again.
Yeah, they're going public with this AI-first approach.
What does that even mean, AI first?
Well, their CEO said they're phasing out contractors for work AI can do. And get this, they're evaluating employees partly on how well they use AI.
Seriously?
Yeah. And they basically said they'll only hire more people if a team proves they can't automate more stuff.
Wow. So it's not just using AI as a tool, it's fundamentally rethinking the work itself.
Exactly. We saw a similar message from Shopify's CEO, too. It's about efficiency gains that, directly lead to needing fewer people for the same work.
Okay, so that's the short answer, yes, picture. Jobs are being lost. Predictions are worrying. Companies are shifting strategy.
Right. That's the immediate reality check. But like you said earlier, there's this other side to it. The longer view, the history. It tells a different story, or at least a more nuanced one.
Let's get into that, because historically, big tech shifts haven't actually led to permanent mass unemployment, have they?
Not usually, no. The sources point this out quite clearly. Think about the Industrial Revolution or even the Internet. They caused massive disruption, sure, but ultimately led to more jobs overall, just different kinds of jobs.
Right, the nature of work changed.
Exactly. And there's that interesting point about robotics. The countries with the most robots, places like Sweden, South Korea, Germany, they actually tend to have some of the lowest unemployment rates.
So the argument is technology doesn't just replace, it amplifies, makes workers more productive.
That's the idea. It potentially lifts everyone up, makes people more efficient. And there's this belief that there's just So much more work to be done.
Like the coding example, if AI helps write code faster.
Then maybe we just end up needing, as one source put it, 100 times more code written for all the things we want to build. Productivity gains might just shift people to new problems or higher level tasks.
It's interesting even in areas like trucking, which seems ripe for automation.
Yeah, sources mentioned that companies would often hire more truckers right now if they could find them, suggesting labor shortages are still a thing, even with this tech looming.
Okay, so what's about the AI leaders themselves? What's their take on the future? We heard from Jensen Huang at NVIDIA.
Right. His perspective was slightly different. He basically said, you won't lose your job to AI.
But to someone using AI.
Exactly. His point is that every job is going to be touched by this, probably right away. And the key skill becomes learning how to use these tools effectively.
Even suggested AI could help you learn new skills, right? Like programming.
Yeah, AI is a teacher, essentially.
And Sam Altman from OpenAI, he's pretty public about this too.
He is. He acknowledges, yes, jobs will be lost. He doesn't shy away from that. But he also strongly believes many new jobs will be created.
And that there'll be much better jobs.
Right. His view is that the definition of work just evolves. We don't have lamplighters anymore, and we don't really miss those jobs. Humans find new valuable things to do.
And the idea is AI takes over the dull stuff.
Pretty much. That came up a lot. Automating tedious things like invoicing, scheduling, basic research, freeing up humans for the complex, creative, empathetic stuff that, well, AI isn't great at least not yet.
Okay, but this transition, even if new jobs appear eventually, getting from here to there sounds potentially rough.
Yeah. This is where, as you said, it gets really interesting and maybe a bit darker. The sources were very clear about the challenges in the transition.
The suffering in the transition, as one source put it, that sounds serious.
It is. Because it's not like people can just magically reskill overnight. Losing your job is. It's tough. Emotionally, financially, especially for families juggling multiple jobs.
And the problem might be our systems aren't ready for this kind of shock.
That's a major concern highlighted. Our education systems, our social safety nets, government policies, they weren't really built for this speed of change. Someone quoted E.O. Wilson.
Oh, the quote about Paleolithic emotions, medieval institutions.
In godlike technology, yeah. It captures that mismatch perfectly.
It reminds me of that Douglas Adams idea, too. You know, anything invented after you're 35 is unnatural or bad for the world. That resistance to change is real.
It really is. And this ties into a huge issue. Wealth distribution. Jeffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI.
He's worried, isn't he?
Very. His point is, okay, AI boosts productivity, creates massive wealth. But in our current system, where does that wealth go?
To the people who own the AI, the platforms.
Right. Not necessarily to the people whose jobs just got automated away. So the fear is this could massively widen the gap between rich and poor.
Leading to potentially serious social problems, instability.
Yeah, that was definitely discussed. Increased tension, maybe even unrest.
Was universal basic income, UBI, mentioned as a fix?
It was, yeah. A guaranteed income for everyone. But the sources were pretty quick to point out that's a huge societal shift. Our institutions are nowhere near ready for that conversation, let alone implementation.
And does it even solve the whole problem, like the meaning people get from work?
That's another argument. Some say UBI deals with the money, but maybe not the self-respect or purpose people often tie to their jobs.
There is that provocative idea, too. Maybe we aren't meant to work like this.
Right. That the whole 9 to 5, or often 9 to 9 grind, is kind of a recent invention, historically speaking.
From the capitalist revolution.
Exactly. And maybe the real solution isn't just finding new jobs, but building social systems where people can live fulfilling lives without needing that traditional full-time slog. They mentioned France's work-to-live culture is a different model.
That's a really fundamental challenge to how we think about society. And these aren't just abstract fears, are they? Didn't sources mention real-world anxieties?
Yeah, there was a reference to a resurfaced article about a billionaire literally worried about the poor rising up because of job losses and inequality.
Wow. Suggesting it's already causing issues, like maybe increased crime or the wealthy feeling they need to hide their wealth?
That was the implication, yeah, that the tensions are already simmering.
And the sheer speed of this AI change makes it different, doesn't it? Bill Gates apparently questioned if governments can even keep up.
Exactly. Can you just tax policy fast enough?
Shorten the work week. He noted AI seems to have no limit and hits both blue-collar and white-collar jobs, which is different from past waves.
And we're already seeing some pushback, right, against companies going all in on AI. We are. Klarna, the payment company. They reportedly had issues after replacing customer service agents with AI. lower quality service, apparently.
So they're hiring humans again.
Seems like it, yeah. And Duolingo, we mentioned them earlier, they're facing a lot of heat on social media.
People aren't happy.
No, lots of users expressing dissatisfaction, saying they want real people doing good work, some even deleting the app. So, customer feelings aren't always aligned with the corporate push for automation.
Okay, so it's messy. We've got the job losses now, the potential for new jobs later, but this really difficult, maybe painful transition with big societal questions. What's the way forward then, according to the sources? What should we do?
Well, first, acknowledge the fear is real. It's not irrational. But panic or freezing isn't helpful. As one source put it, uncertainty is actually the time you need a plan.
Right, be proactive.
Exactly. And the sources stress this needs action on multiple levels. Governments, companies, individuals, all need to play a part.
So governments and organizations need to step up with what? Training, support for displaced workers.
Definitely. Big investments needed in education and retraining programs geared for the future, and policies to create a safety net for people caught in the transition.
And education itself needs to change fundamentally.
Hugely. Focus on skills for the future, not the past.
Yeah.
Create quicker ways to get relevant skills pathways,
Yeah.
not just relying on 4-year degrees for everything.
Teach people how to work with AI, coding, prompting, that kind of thing.
Yes, exactly. Reflecting the tools people will actually use, not just old theory.
And what about companies? What's their role besides just implementing AI?
Transparency seems key. Leaders need to be open about the potential impacts, have honest conversations with their teams, and actually plan for how roles will adapt, not just bring layoffs.
Makes sense. And for individuals, for you listening.
The message was pretty consistent.
Yeah.
Don't stick your head in the sand. Learn about AI. Use the tools.
Figure out how it can help you in your work.
Yeah. How can it augment what you do? Automate the boring bits. Free you up for more interesting challenges. Remember that point, AI often replaces tasks, not necessarily whole jobs immediately.
Right. The human skills, empathy, creativity, critical thinking, making judgment calls, those are still crucial.
Absolutely.
Right.
AI will likely become more invisible, just part of our workflow, helping us make decisions. But we still need humans to provide context, ensure fairness, and maybe keep things from getting too uniform. Preserve that human randomness.
I like that. So Amadeus metaphor again.
Yeah.
You can't stop the bus.
But we can steer it. That's the goal. Understand the risks, address them head-on with policy and education, but still aim for the benefits AI can bring.
So wrapping this up, what does it all mean for you listening right now as AI keeps evolving at this crazy pace?
Well, it seems like the big takeaway isn't a simple, our job's going away, yes or no.
Yeah.
It's much more about how work itself is changing.
How society adapts to that change, especially the displacement and the potential wealth shifts.
Yeah, and how quickly we as individuals, as companies, as institutions can learn to work effectively with this incredibly powerful new technology.
It's definitely a complex transition, huge potential for sure, but also some really significant risks if we don't manage it carefully.
Thoughtfully, transparently, and proactively. That seemed to be the consensus.
Well, this has been quite the deep dive into this huge question of AI and the future of jobs.
Definitely a lot to think about. And if you want to keep up with the latest news and developments in artificial intelligence, make sure you subscribe to the AI Tips and Tools YouTube channel. We cover AI news regularly there.
We really want to hear your perspective on this. It's such a complex issue with so many angles. What do you think? Will AI take our jobs? How should we be navigating this future? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below on YouTube.